Now today, we're unfortunately going to have a little bit of a filler video. The main video that I was working on, which was like upgrading my personal build, ran into a really irritating snag. Like, really irritating snag. And basically, long story short, I'm waiting for components and I'm not going to be able to finish that until some point next week. So I decided to do a video where I deal with some overheating problems that I have in the YouTube Bounty PC. Now last week I posted a video where I upgraded this YouTube Bounty PC. I put an AMD RX 570 in there and honestly the performance was really great. But if you remember from that video, I did a noise test with it and it did sound a little bit like a jet on takeoff. And that's obviously not something we want. So let me run you through the troubleshooting process that I went for the actual heat with the graphics card. Now, when running FurMark with this graphics card, it quite quickly hits 80 degrees Celsius. And 80 degrees is the point where the software doesn't want the graphics card to run any hotter. So to deal with that, to keep it at 80 degrees, the fan speed slowly keeps ramping up. And then by the time you hit 15 minutes, it's at 80% fan speed and it's all very noisy. Now the first way I thought about dealing with this problem is by actually putting new thermal paste on the graphics card. Now I know that the graphics card is quite new, but because it's a fairly entry-level graphics card, I thought maybe MSI uses very basic thermal paste and this will help alleviate the problem. So let's go through the process of repasting the graphics card. Now as you can see, I'm using natural light for this shot so that it looks all artistic. Before we tear it down, I just want to point out that I got a new screwdriver. I'm really excited about it. Look at that bad boy. The reason that I got it is because I actually had some problems with my iFixit screwdriver. And this one, what I really like about it is it's got a really nice grip to it. So it feels like you're like grabbing a goose by the neck and not like you're kind of trying to screw using chopsticks or whatever. And it's also got these drill bits, well not drill bits, screwdriver bits, that feel like they've kind of been hewn out of dragon scales in Mount Doom. So that's exciting, I'm really excited. I enjoy this screwdriver very much. Okay, so as you can see on here, we have a warranty void if removed sticker. Now, the only thing that I have to say to that is this, pretty much. So I'm gonna tear that guy off. Well, I'm just gonna screw through it, actually. EK actually recommends that you put more thermal paste on than that. So every time you change, like you put a water block on a graphics card, they show you a diagram and they want you to do like an X pattern on it. I always kind of tend to put more on. Yeah, so let's put this back in and see if that made any difference. And then after all of that, I put the graphics card back in the PC, ran the FurMark test, and the exact same thing happened. By 15 minutes, we were sitting at 80 degrees and 80% fan speed. Now, it's not really the 80 degrees that bothers me too much because it's not super hot. It's more the fan speed. I want to get that down. So if we get 80 degrees with like 55% fan speed, I'll actually be pretty happy. But obviously the thermal paste upgrade didn't do that, which is sad, but at the same time it shows that MSI is actually kind of using decent thermal paste for their budget graphics cards, which is nice for them. Now the next step involves adding some stuff. So if you look at the actual temperature graph, it is a very slow temperature increase, which is quite weird for air cooling. In all of my tests, I usually, within the first 4 minutes, an air-cooled CPU or GPU would hit more or less their max temperature. Whereas with this one, it climbs slowly to 80, and then the fan speed slowly climbs to 80% fan speed, which kind of makes me think that it's an airflow problem in the case. So the next step was adding a 140mm fan to the top of the case as an intake. Now the reason I use this spot is because the front of the case is really restrictive airflow wise, so I thought I could get more air into the case through the top, but it obviously isn't blowing directly onto the graphics card. And as you can see with the temperatures, well, it didn't really help at all. It reached the kind of 80 degrees, 80% fan speed very quickly. So I just stopped the test there and decided not to waste my time. And then I moved the fan into the front of the case, and I actually used a 120mm NZXT case fan because of, like, with the SSD installed, you can't actually fit a 140mm fan in the front of the case. This actually helped. The direct airflow onto the graphics card kind of helped with the temperatures a little bit, but at 15 minutes, we were still sitting at 80 degrees, 80% fan speed. So then I kind of just lost patience and ripped the front of the case off, and that actually made a really big difference. So that's what we wanted. We wanted about 75 degrees or so with a lower fan speed and without that massive noise. So obviously the problem here is the case. This was honestly clear from the beginning, but the reason that I went through all these processes was because I didn't initially want to replace something. I didn't initially want to buy something if I could fix the problem with just bits that I have lying around. And that's kind of the point of this video, right? Is if you have a problem with temperatures in your case or something like that, always try and find a different solution before actually just going out and buying something new. Now what I can do with this case is I can try and modify the front to get better airflow, but honestly it's going to ruin the aesthetic of the case. Now this case worked really well when it was just the 2400G, but the moment that you add the RX 570 to it, it just meant that the TDP of the system became too much for the case to deal with. So one solution could be, once you replace the graphics card, you kind of deal with the high temperatures for a bit and then replace the case a bit down the line, or you just modify the case. I'm not really sure which route I'm going to take at this point. I think at the moment I'm just going to kind of run it with the front panel open. And honestly, while gaming, it's not that big of an issue. I've got headphones on anyway, but you know, I thought it would make an interesting video. And with that, I'm actually going to LTX this weekend. I'm really excited. I'm not one of the people that was officially invited, so I'm not like on a guest list, which I'm kind of offended about. Okay, I'm obviously not offended, but I'm going to LTX and I'm actually going to vlog it. So on about Monday or Tuesday next week, I'm going to upload my LTX vlog for those of you who are interested to see what actually happens at LTX, because I have no idea. So yeah, stick around if you want to see that. And then after that, we're going to finish the personal rig upgrade, which I'm very excited about. It's standing right over there and it looks awesome. I can't wait for that video. But yeah, I just need to deal with the snags and wait for the new components. So until my next video, which is going to be the LTX vlog, which I'm really excited about, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then follow me on Instagram and Twitter to see some occasional updates there. I actually need to post on Instagram a lot more. I'm really bad with that. But like I said, my personal rig is down at the moment, so I don't have like a set place to do things, and that means that it becomes really difficult to do like video editing or whatever. But yeah, until the next video, bye-bye.